Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Gunmen invade rob nightclub in St. Elizabeth. 7 gunmen invaded a nightclub in Bellevue District, St. Elizabeth on Wednesday, robbing patrons and stealing items. There were no reports of anyone being seriously injured during the incident, police said, but at least one of the patrons was gunbutt and had to seek medical attention. Reports reaching reporters were that around 1:15 a.m., the group of 7 men armed with guns entered the establishment and demanded cash. They reportedly robbed the owner of 5 poker boxes valued at approximately $3 million and a quantity of assorted liquor. The value of the liquor has not yet been ascertained. It was further reported that 6 patrons who were inside the establishment were robbed of cash and cell phones. One of the patrons was reportedly gunbutt by one of the robbers, resulting in him receiving a wound to his head. The men reportedly fired several shots before leaving in a waiting motor car, the police stated. Gun found in shopping bag in Montego Bay seized. A firearm and 4 rounds of ammunition were seized during a joint police military operation on Sammy Drive, Montego Bay, St. James on Friday. Reports are that about 12:45 p.m., lawmen were in the area when a 4-bedroom house was searched, but nothing illegal was found. During the search of an open lot close to the house, a shopping bag was found beside the fence line. The bag was examined, and 1 9mm Smith & Wesson 9mm and 4 rounds of ammunition were seen inside the bag. No one was arrested in relation to the seizure. Healthy development of children should be a priority of all, stated Longmore. Government Senator Dr. Longmore says the healthy development of children should be the priority of all in society, especially in situations of co-parenting. I want to emphasize, especially to our mothers, don't use access to the children as a tool of revenge against the fathers. If you and the dad are not making it work, the child is a priority, and the child's development is a priority, Dr. Longmore stated. She made the call while making her contribution to the State of Nation debate in the Senate on December 1. Let us not use access and the healthy development of our children as a tool of revenge in pursuit of a resolution to your relationship. Seek to establish that communication with your partner that your child is your priority and seek to put that in place, she stated. Meanwhile, she argued that more support needs to be provided for single mothers. Apart from having our fathers registered and being more actively involved, support for our single mothers in the generational way that is connected, online forum, homework clubs, community focus group, use technology to enhance the support of our single mothers. Preventative governance rather than therapeutic, Dr. Longmore stated. She said the value for children needs to start with the value for the women who are the bearers of the children. Furthermore, she called on the Jamaicans to protect the nation's children. We all know that I have called and made my utterance around the mandatory life sentencing and mandatory death sentencing for child murderers, Dr. Longmore stated. We must protect our children at all costs. When we say they are our future, that is not an empty statement. We need to have a paradigm shift from the punishment of our children to the disciplining of our children and the fact that our children should be priority in all matters. Love for our children is a big fix for violence, she stated. Stakeholders call on government to fast-track reforms to address sexual and domestic violence. 13 civil society organizations and 16 advocates have called on parliamentarians to fast-track legislative reforms to address the high levels of sexual and domestic violence in the country. The desired reforms would address the Child Care and Protection Sexual Offense Against the Person and the Domestic Violence Act. Executive Director of the Jamaica for Justice J.F. James Jackson said alarming number of sexual and domestic incidents is a matter of serious concern.
13 civil society organizations and 16 advocates have come together to call on the Jamaican Parliament to fast-track the laws that are necessary to end violence against women and to deal with the issue of sexual and domestic violence generally in the country. When we look at the alarming number of rape that occurs in this country, when we look at the alarming number or incidents of domestic violence that happens in this country, it is one for concern where we believe it is time for the government to look within itself and say, I must pass these laws. Now, it is important to note that the relevant laws here in question, the Sexual Offences Act, the Domestic Violence Act, they have been under review as far back as 2014 when a joint select committee was then convened. For various reasons, that went nowhere. The Domestic Violence Act, for those who don't know, it provides protection for victims of domestic violence. That very act itself has no definition of domestic violence. We don't know what domestic violence means within the Domestic Violence Act. What is even more concerning is that a victim, for example, can get what is called a protection order, which is similar to a restraining order that we're familiar with. So it says to the abuser, stay this particular distance from me. When you get the protection order, if the perpetrator breaches the protection order, it's a mere 10,000 Jamaican dollars for fine or up to 6 months in prison. Now, that is no deterrent. We have heard from the Minister of Gender, the Honorable Babsy Grange, that fine would move from $10,000 to $500,000, and then we heard another announcement that it would move to $1 million. In 2023, we're ending out the year, and that still has not seen any change.
Moving tribute. In a deeply moving sermon in Linstead St. Catherine on Friday, the names of 48 children who died under tragic circumstances between October 2022 and October 2023 were solemnly announced. Students holding placards bearing the names observed a moment of silence to honor the fallen as the Child Protection and Family Services Agencies, CPFSA, held 4 regional child marches and social services fair. The emotional weight of the tribute was palpable, leaving young State Minister Marsha Simmet and Master of Ceremonies Jennifer Jenny Small visibly overwhelmed. Unable to hold back tears, Simmet emphasizes the significance of the event, stating, awareness has to come from the grassroots level. In this context, grassroots means young children being aware of what it is and the appropriate treatment for themselves, whether it be verbal or sexual. They need to know what the correct standards of care are and what is in place to address any failure, she continued. The State Minister highlighted the crucial role of the 211 helpline established for children to report abuse, urging individuals and institutions to use it as a vital resource in protecting children. Their schools can make the call, neighbors beside a family where they are aware of children being abused or unsafe in circumstances can make the call, Simmet said, while acknowledging the pivotal role of guidance counselors within schools as guardians against child abuse. The national event, held under the theme Protect the Children, Don't Hurt and Abuse Them, was initially planned to coincide with the World Day for Prevention of Child Abuse on November 19. However, adverse weather conditions prompted the rescheduling. Marches and fairs echoed the call to protect children in towns across all 4 CPFSA regions. Along with Linstead in the Southern East region, there were events in Port Mario, St. Mary, and in the Northeast, Maypen Clarendon in the Southern region, and Falmouth, Trelawney in the Western region. In Linstead, Uniformed Children's Group and stakeholders in Child Protection March formed the Church of God Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints, proceeding through the town and back to raise awareness. A key moment saw the planting of a tree in recognition of all the children who lost their lives to violence. 383 killed in motor vehicle crashes, including 11 killed last week. A total of 383 people have perished in motor vehicle crashes since the start of the year, according to the latest statistics released by the Island Traffic Authority and the Road Safety Unit, RSU. According to the statistics, 11 of those persons, all males, perished during last week, ending on December 1. The latest fatalities include 3 motorcyclists, 1 private motorcar driver, 1 commercial vehicle driver, 1 driver of a public passenger vehicle PPV, and 1 PPV passenger, 2 pedestrians, and pedal cyclists, and a 17-year-old whose death is classified as other. Meanwhile, the 383 traffic victims were killed in 348 fatal crashes. Overall, there is a 14% decrease in fatalities, or 60 fewer deaths, when compared to the same period in 2022, the RSU stated. It added that fatal crashes are down 10% during the comparable period. The RSU said total fatalities projection as at October projects a decrease of 13% when compared with 2022. In the meantime, it lists pedestrians as accounting for 18% of all road fatalities as of December 1. Motorcyclists accounted for 32%, private motor vehicle drivers accounted for 18%, private motor vehicle passengers made up 10%, while the group described as most vulnerable, pedestrians, pedal cyclists, motorcyclists, and pedal riders, accounted for a combination of 60%. Males and females accounted for 87% and 13% respectively of the road fatalities as of December 1, 2023. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell